Hello, Bonnie Nation, and happy game day. Welcome into Bonnie's Basketball Now. Today I'm joined by JP Butler and Ryan McSpedon. We start tonight with a preview of tonight's season opening matchup against the Siena Saints. The Bonnies could be without both Jalen Adaway and Kyle Lofton. Players are listed as game time decisions. Meanwhile, Siena transfer guards Anthony Gaines and Jace Johnson will look to play spoiler in front of a near sellout crowd at the Riley Center. The Bonnies are 8-1 all-time at home against the Saints, and head coach Mark Schmidt boasts a 6-4 record against the team.
The opening game is more of like, making sure you're ready, making sure the team is ready. Our kids aren't ready to play in the season opener when, we haven't had a crowd in the Riley Center since March 4th, and there's something wrong. We'll be ready to play, and hopefully we play well, and hopefully it's a really good basketball game.
JP, you were a part of the press conference with Coach Schmidt yesterday. What kind of things was he saying, and what's your expectation for this game today?
Well, it's going to be an emotional night, right? I mean, the Bonnies are unveiling not one or two, but three banners, one each for the A-10 regular season and tournament championship, another for playing in the NCAA tournament. And they're going to be doing it in front of actually having fans at a real game in the Riley Center. So you put those things together, getting the championship rings. There's going to be a lot of emotions before that game starts, but as soon as the ball goes up, they're going to be about business. And there's a little bit of retribution on the line too. This core, they were just sophomores in their third game of that sophomore season when they went out to Albany and lost in 1920. This will be the first game against the Siena team since then. So they'll want to get that Franciscan Cup back.
Yeah, and Ryan, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm excited. And as you mentioned, Kyle and Jalen game time decisions, and one of those players that I'm looking to step up is Oshun, obviously, with his paint presence, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and also 3 blocks per game last season. And also newcomer Linton Brown, who could fill Jalen Adaway's shoes if he is to miss time. Certainly something that could be a big role for the Bonnies as we start the season.
Yeah, and Siena head coach Carmen Massarello is in his third year as head coach of the Saints. His team is up and coming, supplemented by key players like Jackson Stormo and newcomer Anthony Gaines.
Obviously, they have a bunch of different weapons from Lofton to Welch to Holmes, Adaway. I mean, their starting five is obviously why they're ranked in the top 25. And then that next piece is going to be their bench, right? How their bench gels with their returning nucleus.
Massarello also talked about the special atmosphere created by the Franciscan Cup rivalry. Both teams looking to bring that cup back home. In a historic rivalry that dates back to the 1939 basketball season, the Bonnies have triumphed 31 times in 42 games. But that was not the case in 2019. Siena beat the Bonnies in that one in Albany 78-65. The trophy is named after Franciscan friar Brother Ed. Thursday saw Bonnie's men's new players make immediate contributions. St. Bonaventure went on an impressive 51-11 run fueled by their newest talent, with 31 of the Bonnies' points in that one coming from fresh faces. The most noteworthy performances from our new Bonnies were from Linton Brown, who had 19 points and 8 rebounds, as well as Quadri Adams, who ended up with 13, 5, and 5, along with 4 steals. Ryan, I'll ask you, so we kind of know what the guys from last season, the returners, are going to do for this season, but the newcomers, who do you think impressed the most in that game against Alfred?
To me, it was certainly Linton Brown with his 19 points, 8 rebounds. He was known to be a sharpshooter coming in, and he was exactly that. Shot 7 of 12 from the field, and also 50% from 3. And if Adaway misses time, he's going to be a big presence for the Bonnies, and I believe he definitely had the best performance the other night.
And JP, I think a big deal this season is kind of giving Oshun some rest. So what did you see out of Coulibaly in that one?
Yeah, I mean, those were, to me, the two guys that everybody was really paying attention to, Coulibaly and Brown, just because of the background for those guys coming in. And granted, it was against a Division III team, guys that were in some cases half his size, but he really did look good. He looked comfortable. One thing that surprised me a little bit was his ability to step out and hit some shots. Schmidt had talked about that in the preseason, the ability to maybe even shoot from the perimeter, and he showed a little bit of that on Thursday. If that's an element that he's bringing, certainly he'll be a guy that will get time, will spell Oshun, and maybe even become sort of a sixth starter type for this team.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
We're going to take a look back at one of the plays Jaren made in Thursday's exhibition win over Alfred. Here we see Jaren at the top of the key. JP, what are the things you see here?
Okay, sees a clear scoring lane. Two things that are important to this team: being aggressive, being strong with the ball. That's what we see here. See that little added strength that he put on in the offseason, something that's always important to these Bonnet teams.
Yes.
And just the indication, again, if we want to pause it right here, the strength, shaking the guy off, and just the indication that Jaren's become really a three-level scorer in the 2 years that he's been with this team now. He's a guy who can finish through traffic at the lane. He's gotten really good at getting the ball into the paint and putting moves on guys and getting that little jump shot in the lane to go. And he's become a pretty good three-point shooter, too. Second on the team last year in three-point percentage at .381. And you put all three of those things together, and you've got a guy that actually led Bonnet in scoring, led the entire team in scoring in conference play last season.
And JP, Jaren mentioned in his post-game press conference the other day that he spent a week over the summer in Dallas with former Bonnie Tyler Ralph.
That's
right. He worked on his ball handling and, more importantly, his off-the-dribble move, and we see that it's really played a key role for him here.
That was a huge thing for him and a lot of these guys over the offseason. Tyler Ralph's really become the guru in that, part of it, and they went down there to work on it, just that skill development, sharpening, just getting that much better coming into this season. This was a perfect example night for him to be able to do this with Kyle out. And I think we saw some of the things that he's hoping to bring to the table this year.
When we come back, Atlantic 10 third-team guard Asianae Johnson joins us in studio. She discusses how she and her teammates plan to take the next step to success. Stay with us.
Number 2 in white, too quick for that Rams defense.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm going to drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely going to call a ride home.
Welcome back to BBN. This afternoon, the Bonnie's women's basketball team took on the Robert Morris Colonials for their first game of the season. A back-and-forth game throughout, the Bonnies outscored the Colonials 24-13 in the fourth quarter, led by NIKKI Oppenheimer with a career-high 13 points. Here's NIKKI after the game.
It felt great. I feel like I'm finally at a place where, I'm valued and really enjoying my time here, and I love this team. I think we're going to do really good things this year.
The Bonnies out-rebounded the Colonials 46-24 en route to their victory. They will look to add on to their great start Thursday when they take on Siena at 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus with yours truly on the call. And a key player from that game, this week in studio, we have a player who's been on the Bonnie's women's basketball team for the last 3 years and has been one of the stars. And she was recently named to the Atlantic 10 preseason third team. Her name, Asianae Johnson. Asianae, thanks for taking the time to be with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And then, so you've been a part of several competitive teams throughout your time here at St. Bonaventure, but it hasn't really translated into the winning column. So what do you think about this year's team that's different, that's going to help you get over that edge?
I feel like we're definitely on the same page with each other. I would have to say that we have a lot of length and we have a lot of size, a lot of athleticism that we can use to our advantage when it comes to bigger teams and faster teams in our league.
Entering the season on that preseason Atlantic 10 third team, what does that mean to you and how do you think that motivates you for this upcoming season?
I'm very grateful to have that, opportunity or standing ovation. It really doesn't mean anything when it comes down to my team losing and having that losing streak. So I feel like I'm honored to have the opportunity, but it's more of just how can I take that to a next step and actually put my team where they need to be.
Now I do want to ask you a kind of a personal question. So over February and throughout the last season, you were involved in a kind of a personal cause, the Genesis House. Kind of talk about your personal life a little bit and your path to college basketball.
The Genesis House really made me have to show my teammates that it's actually people out here that live that kind of life, because I have personally experienced it as well. Just having an opportunity to know that it is better on the other side. It's always going to be somebody out there that's willing to give you a helping hand. Also, just like knowing that you have the opportunity, you have the choices that you can make in order to make yourself and your family have a better future.
That's awesome. Asianae, that's all I got for you. I really appreciate your time, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
We'll be right back to finish up the rest of the show. Ranked 23rd in the country, their first AP ranking since 1971. Covering sports for as long as you have, what is hearing that ranking, being your former school, what does that mean to you?
Well, it looks like a typo. I'll never get over the fact that it looks like a typo. Look, I mean, I come from a generation of Bonaventure fans that really thought we were watching the beginning and the end of the program as a national power.
The Bonnies will be looking to regain that Franciscan Cup after losing to the Saints back in 2019. So, McSpedon, what do you got for the final thoughts for this game tonight?
The Bonnies are going to be amped up. They have expectations. The RC is going to be rocking. I normally don't give final score predictions, but I'm going to give one here. I like the Bonnies 78-53 tonight.
JP?
Coach Schmidt talked about this in the pregame. In these, season openers where there are so many question marks, especially with a team like Siena, who has such a new roster this year, comprised of all these transfers and young guys. It's more of an opportunity to just take care of yourselves, to come out, play the brand of basketball that this team has played over the last 2 years. They've gotten off to a little bit of a slow start in recent years, so a chance to come out, establish yourself, play that kind of defense that made them one of the best teams in the country last year, and really try to put on a good show in front of fans for the first time in almost 2 years.
Well, that's all we have time for this week's episode. The Bonnies are set to take on the Saints at 7 p.m. tonight, getting their championship rings, and the banners will be risen. Ryan, it's going to be an exciting game.
Oh, it's going to be great to have fans back in the RC for the first time in about 2 years. I can't wait.
So for JP Butler and Ryan McSpedon, I'm Ryan Bowlin saying so long and see you next week.
Wins the Atlanta